What's up, y'all? Another Bible study, Bible reading, Luke 21. And he looked up and he saw the rich putting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw a poor widow putting in 2 small copper coins. And he said, "Truly I say to you, this poor widow put in more than all of them. For they all out of their surplus put into the offering. But she out of her poverty put in all that she had to live on." And while some were talking about the temple, that it was adorned with beautiful stones and votive gifts, he said, "As for these things which you are looking at, the days will come in which there will not be left one stone upon another, which will not be torn down." It's another prophecy about the destruction of the temple 40 years later in 70 AD. They questioned him, saying, "Teacher, when therefore will these things happen? And what will be the sign when these things are about to take place?" And he said, "See to it that you are not misled. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time is near. Do not go after them. When you hear of wars and disturbances, do not be terrified, for these things must take place first, but the end does not follow immediately." Then he continued by saying to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." See, now we're in the end times. "And there will be great earthquakes, and in various places plagues and famines." We've had a lot of great earthquakes. We've had a lot of major earthquakes lately. In various places plagues and famines. There's a third of the world goes to bed hungry every night. "And there will be terrors and great signs from heaven." We had the great sign from heaven last year on September 23rd, the fulfillment of Revelation 12:1 and 2. But before all these things, jumping back to their time, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you to the synagogues and prisons, bringing you before kings and governors for my name's sake. It will lead to an opportunity for your testimony. So make up your minds not to prepare beforehand to defend yourselves. For I will give you utterance and wisdom which none of your opponents will be able to resist or refute. But you will be betrayed even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and it will put some of you to death. And you will be hated by all because of my name. Yet not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance you will gain your lives. See, there's dual fulfillments of a lot of things in prophecy, because this stuff is going to happen in the end times too, in the tribulation. Now we're going to jump to the beginning of the last 3.5 years, at the abomination of desolation. "But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then recognize that her desolation is near. Then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains, and those who are in the midst of the city must leave, and those who are in the country must not enter the city, because these are the days of vengeance, so that all things which were written will be fulfilled. Woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress upon the land, and wrath to this people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword, and will be led captive into all the nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled, until the end when Jesus comes back." Now we're going to jump back 3.5 years here, to the beginning of the last 7 years. "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars." We had the Revelation 12, verse 1 and 2, fulfilled in the sun, moon, and stars, September 23rd of last year. We had the full solar eclipse, August 21st of last year, go across the whole country of America. And lunar eclipses as well. Signs that only happen every couple hundred years and stuff. And on the earth dismay among nations, and perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves, men fainting from fear and the expectation of the things which are coming upon the world. Now I've heard an interpretation that the dismay among nations and perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves, because waters are interpreted as people. I've heard that interpreted as World War III, the roaring of the sea and the waves, men fainting from fear and the expectation of the things which are coming upon the world, for the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. But when these things begin to take place, which they already have, straighten up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Then he told them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they put forth leaves, you see it, and know that yourselves that summer is now near. So you also, when you see these things happening, recognize that the kingdom of God is near, the millennial reign. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. See, the earth is going to be destroyed. Heaven, the sky is going to be rolled up like a scroll. There's going to be a new heaven and new earth in the end times, at the end of the time. The fig tree represents Israel. It says this generation will not pass away until all these things are fulfilled. That generation, I believe, began in 1948 with the rebirth of Israel as a nation. The Bible defines a generation as 70 to 80 years. We're at 70 years right now, this year. Be on guard, so that your hearts will not be weighted down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of life. And that day will not come on you suddenly like a trap. So we got to be alert, we got to be watching, paying attention to the signs. Wait for Jesus' return, or it's going to come upon us like a trap if we're just living life like everyone else and worrying about what we're doing in this world. For it will come upon all those who dwell on the face of all the earth. But keep on the alert at all times, praying that you may have strength to escape all these things which are about to take place, and to stand before the Son of Man. So we need to be praying that we're found worthy to escape these things that are about to happen, and to stand before Jesus. Now during the day he was teaching in the temple, but at evening he would go out and spend the night on the mount that is called Olivet. And all the people would get up early in the morning to come to him in the temple to listen to him. That's the end of Luke 21. God bless you guys.